The silent invitation, the Grand Galactic Council Hall, was the most protected place in the galaxy. It was shaped like a glowing ring, floating above the gas clouds of planet Vorx. Inside sat the leaders of over 70 powerful alien races. Some were tall with wings, some had 3 eyes, some glowed like fire. But today, every single one of them looked nervous. There were 2 empty chairs in the center of the hall, big dark chairs, made of metal from a dead star. They were not for any council member, they were for the visitors. The doors had not opened yet, but the fear had already started. The air felt heavier than usual. A strange silence filled the room, the type of silence that made your skin crawl. No one spoke, but everyone had the same question in mind. Why did Earth accept the invitation? For hundreds of years, the humans of Earth had stayed quiet. They had built their colonies on dangerous planets, never asking for help. They fought deadly storms, wild creatures, and even space pirates with no allies. The galaxy called them Deathworlders, not because they were evil, but because their planet was filled with death, pain, and chaos. And they survived it, only 2. Humans were coming today. No army, no weapons, but still the guards doubled, scanners activated, shields locked. A short alien with golden skin leaned toward a council elder and whispered, "Do you think they'll behave?" The elder did not answer. He just looked at the empty chairs. Then it happened. The doors opened. 2 humans stepped inside. One was a mantle calm, wearing a black uniform with no symbols. The other was a woman slightly shorter, with short, dark hair and a sharp gaze. She wore no armor, no weapons, but her eyes were like knives. The room went still, not even a cough. The humans walked slowly toward the center. Every eye in the chamber followed them. The council guards scanned them 3 times. No weapons, no tech, no tricks. Still, many felt like they were looking at 2 bombs with legs. The humans sat down without speaking. 10 long seconds passed, then 20. The silence grew colder. Finally, the supreme speaker of the council, a tall, insect-like alien, spoke. "We thank you, delegates of Earth, for joining this historic meeting." The male human said nothing. The female human crossed her legs, waiting. The speaker continued, voice shaking slightly. "We have heard strange reports about human activities near Sector 9. Mining, shipbuilding, signals we cannot understand. Some council members are concerned." The woman leaned forward. Her voice was soft, but every speaker picked it up. "You invited us. You should not be surprised we came." Some aliens flinched. Others looked away. The speaker tried to smile. "Of course, we simply wish to understand." The male human finally spoke. His voice was deep and cold. "You don't want to understand us. You want to control us." Gasps echoed through the room. A blue-scaled alien stood up. "Is that a threat?" The woman's eyes turned to him, calm. "Deadly. If we wanted to threaten you," she said, "you would not be standing." Silence. Thick, heavy silence. One council member, weak-minded diplomat from a water world, suddenly fainted in his seat. Nobody moved to help him. They were all frozen. The humans sat quietly, waiting. The speaker finally spoke again, but his voice was smaller now. "Then why are you here?" The man stood slowly. He looked around the room. His eyes met every ambassador, every warrior, every general. "Because you asked." He turned to leave, but before walking out, he added, "Next time, Think carefully before you speak our name. The woman stood too. She said just one word. Consider this. Your only warning. Then they left. The doors closed behind them, and the Galactic Council, the most powerful group in the universe, remained, frozen in silence. Asterisk echoes of the past. Long after the humans left the council chamber, no one said a word. The leaders of 70 alien empires sat still in their seats, trying to understand what had just happened. Their hearts beat faster, their hands trembled. These were beings who had survived wars, ruled galaxies, and controlled millions, and yet 2 humans had silenced them all, behind the chamber walls. Whispers spread like fire. Did you see their eyes? They brought no weapons, but I felt crushed. Is this what Deathworlders really are? In one of the council's private rooms, a small group of old ambassadors met secretly. They were the ones who remembered Earth not from stories, but from experience. Ambassador Lurex, an ancient reptilian with deep scars, cleared his throat. You fools forgot, he said. Humans do not conquer with numbers. They conquer with will. He turned on a hidden file, a secret recording from over 200 years ago. The footage showed Earth's first contact with the Galactic Union. The humans were polite, curious, and quiet. Too quiet. The Council had laughed at them back then. Primitive, fragile, emotional. Then came the Helion disaster. A powerful alien warlord tried to enslave one of Earth's outer colonies in just 11 days. The humans pushed back with weapons. No one had ever seen bombs that sang before exploding. Machines that learned during battle. Soldiers who never slept. The warlord's empire vanished. The Council had covered it up. They told the galaxy Earth was too far, too wild, not ready. But the truth was simpler. The Council was afraid. Afraid of Earth's rage. Afraid of Earth's silence. Afraid that one day humans would return, and now they had. Meanwhile, back on the human ship Black Echo, the 2 Deathworlders sat in a dim room, speaking with no words, only glances. Commander Raylan, the taller of the 2, finally broke the silence. They remember. Agent Syrah nodded. Not enough. Raylan looked out the window at the Council city floating below them. They don't realize what's coming. Syrah whispered. Should we have told them? No, Raylan said. Warnings are useless for those who still think we're weak. He opened a secure file. On it were names of alien factions that had sent spies into human territory. Some had tried to take human tech. Others had gone after humans themselves. All had disappeared, one by one. But now Earth was no longer hiding, back in the Council. Hall, Speaker Dren sat in his private quarters, shaking. He replayed the humans' final words. Think carefully before you speak our name. He opened an old message from a former intelligence officer, one that was never made public. It read, if humanity ever decides to stop being polite, nothing in this galaxy will be able to stop them. Suddenly, Dren felt a strange fear crawling up his spine, because Earth had not come with ships, not with armies, not with demands, just a people, and the entire Council fell silent. Asterisk, the Council divides the next day. The Galactic Council chamber was full again, but this time it was not quiet, it was chaos. Voices shouted across the room, hands slammed tables, light panels flickered from the rising energy levels, and all of it was about 2 humans. They came here to threaten us, barked General Vax of the Yellery Empire, pounding his heavy claws into the steel floor. That was not diplomacy. That was a warning. The humans did not fire a shot, whispered High Priestess Rune of the Mindsingers. Yet my heart still aches. My dreams shook all night. Good, hissed Prime Hunter, Thol. Now we know what they truly are. We should strike first. But not everyone agreed. Ambassador Varel, an old and wise being made of shimmering gas, floated calmly above his seat. Strike first, he echoed softly. You did not even see them move, and yet you tremble. The room paused. Then a new voice spoke, one that hadn't been heard in years. It came from a small, floating device in the center of the chamber. The device opened. A hologram of a lost planet flickered into view, burned, empty, silent. The hologram zoomed in on strange marks carved into rock. Human language. We survived, we built. You left us, never again. The council gasped. This planet Volus 3 had been declared uninhabitable decades ago. The council had sent humans there as part of an early test program. They were told help would come. It never did. The council erased the files, but the humans had lived, and now the message was clear. They remembered. Speaker Dren stood up, looking pale. We cannot let panic decide our next steps. We must vote now. Peace or preparation. Half the room cheered for alliance, half shouted for defense, but no one noticed that high above, in a hidden observation deck, 2 humans were watching Raylan. And Sierra stood silently, behind dark glass, hearing every word. They're dividing, Sierra said. Just like we planned. Raylan nodded. The more they argue, the more they reveal. Should we push them further? Raylan looked down at the council members fighting like children. No, he said. Let them destroy their trust on their own. Back in the chamber, General Vax growled. Earth has no fleets near the core systems. If we strike now, they cannot respond. Priestess Rune answered coldly, unless they are already here. The room went silent again, and this time it stayed that way. The message of fire hours after the council had argued itself into exhaustion. Something unexpected happened. Every light in the council hall dimmed, not turned off. Dimmed as if the room itself was holding its breath. Then, without command, the main screen glowed bright white. Council engineers rushed to stop it, but they could not. The signal came from outside the council's security systems, from Earth. A voice echoed not loud, but clear, like it was speaking directly inside their heads. We offer no threat, but you need to see us clearly. The image shifted. It showed a forgotten world. No name, just fire and storms. Thunder split the skies. Rivers of acid boiled in the valleys. It was a place that no life should have survived. But then, the cameras zoomed in. There they were, humans, building shelters out of alien bones and scrap metal, melting down toxic sludge for clean water. One woman gave birth in the middle of a storm, wrapped in cloth made from the wings of a hostile creature. A man taught children how to farm in air so thin it burned their lungs. They were not just alive, they were laughing. That was the part that broke the silence. The laughter, warm, real, human. Ambassador Trub, a creature with crystal skin, dropped her cup. They made jokes in that place. The video continued. It showed human hands shaping something under the ground, massive tunnels, glowing stones, structures built in spirals. It was not a shelter, it was a forge to build something big, a warship. The camera pulled back and showed a ship rising through the clouds covered in rust and ice, but moving like a ghost. No sound, no signal, no help, just willpower. The screen flickered again. This time, only one sentence appeared. You left us in fire, so we learned to walk through it. The chamber fell silent again. Speaker Dren stood, sweat rolling down his neck. This was a message. A voice answered one no one had heard before. Sira, the female Deathworlder. She did not appear in person, only her voice spoke. Clear and soft, not a message, a memory. So you know what you created when you looked away. Then the screens shut off. No explosion, no code, no command, just silence. But the fear was louder than anything. One ambassador whispered, if they survived that, what have they become now? Up in orbit, on the Black Echo, Raylan turned to Sarah. You think they understood? Sarah watched the stars. No, she said. But now, they'll start to imagine, and that's worse. Deathworld, diplomacy. Days passed after the message, and still, the Council did not speak to Earth. Not directly, not through words. They sent watchers. Spy drones. Silent probes near the human borders. None returned. Every signal they sent vanished into black static. Then, finally, Earth answered, but not with words. A single ship arrived outside the Council's territory. No escort, no weapons showing, no flag, just one name burned into its hull. Voice of Soul. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Panic echoed through every hall. What does it mean? Why come alone? Is it an act of peace or war? No one knew. Inside the chamber, the usual power figures were gone. The loudest had become the quietest. The strongest sat behind others. All of them remembered the silence two humans had left behind before. None wanted to feel that again. Then the doors opened. One human entered. Not Raylan, not Sarah. A child. A boy no more than 13 years old walked calmly into the middle of the chamber. No guards, no translator, no fear. His voice rang through the silence. Earth does not want war. His words were soft, but each one felt heavier than metal. We do not want territory. We do not want alliances. We do not want a seat in your council. The chamber began to shift, confused, nervous. Then, what do you want? Asked one trembling voice. The boy looked around, slowly. Distance. The room froze. Leave us alone, that is all. Speaker Dren finally stood. We offered peace. You returned silence. We offered a seat. You sent a child. Do you mock us? The boy's face didn't change. He raised one hand and placed a small crystal on the floor. It lit up. The lights above flickered suddenly. The minds of every ambassador were pulled into something not physical. Shared vision, a human memory. A galaxy burned. Not by lasers, not by machines, by will, by people who refused to die. People who adapted faster than the enemy could predict. People who felt pain and turned it into focus. Each alien watched themselves run, watched Earth rise, watched the words burn into their minds. The only species that evolved in nightmares. The vision ended. They were back in the chamber. No sound, no motion, just silence. The boy turned to leave, but before stepping out, he said one final thing. Earth does not send armies. It sends survivors. And then he was gone. Asterisk truth. In silence the boy had left. But the fear stayed behind. For the first time in Council history, no vote was held immediately. No laws were passed. No decisions made. because every voice that once shouted was now silent. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Ships that wandered near human space turned around without orders. Scout probes self-destructed the moment they crossed Earth's borders. Encrypted council files began disappearing, and everywhere, one symbol started appearing on walls, data screens, and even in dreams, a black circle with a single white line running through it. Earth's mark. Back in the council chambers, Speaker Dren stood before a private circle of 12. These were the oldest minds in the galaxy, beings who had watched suns die, who had outlived entire civilizations. They looked shaken. The humans, Dren began, are no longer asking for respect. They are not even demanding safety. One of the elders spoke. His voice was like dust. Then what are they asking for? Dren hesitated, then said the one word no one wanted to hear: judgment. Another elder whispered they were ignored, rejected, left to die, and yet they survived. Not because of our help, but because of our absence. And now, asked a nervous ambassador nearby. Another answer came not from any mouth, but from every screen at once. We are watching. The words burned white. No sender listed. No trace found. It came from inside the council's own system. Then the lights went out, just for a second. But in that second, every ambassador saw something. A vision, a dream, a future. Each alien saw their home planet burning, not from war, but from within. Systems failing, machines shutting down, cities falling into quiet darkness, and the humans never raised a hand. They just watched and waited. Then, just as suddenly, the lights came back. Speaker. Dren's voice cracked as he said, "We must vote, now." The question was simple. Do we engage Earth, or do we step back forever? One by one, the hands rose. Not in anger, not in fear, but in quiet surrender. The vote was unanimous. Earth was to be left alone. No visits, no ships, no questions, and a message was sent. The Galactic Council recognizes the sovereignty of Earth and requests no further contact. We wish for peace. No reply came, just silence, and in that silence, the Council understood. It was not rejection, it was mercy. Asterisk, the final word. The Council never heard from Earth again. Days passed, then weeks, then seasons, across distant worlds. No message came, no warning, no visit, no voice, just silence. But that silence was not empty. It was heavier than war, stronger than fire, because every race in the galaxy now carried the same thought. What will Earth do next? On border planets, colonies near human territory began moving their settlements back. On trading routes, ships gave wide space to anything that even looked like human tech. Alien scholars wrote books about Deathworlders. None of them agreed on the facts. Some said humans had developed psychic powers. Others believed Earth had unlocked a forgotten alien technology. A few claimed Earth was never real, that it was a test sent by the stars themselves. But none of them dared test the truth. One by one, the Council worlds began changing laws. No human contact, no scans of Earth, no interference, and still nothing came from Earth. Until one day, a small data packet appeared on an open frequency. No encryption, no code, just a single message. We remember who listened. We remember who watched. We remember who did nothing. There was no threat in the message, but no one read it twice. On the far edge of the galaxy, The human ship Black Echo drifted near a red dwarf star. Inside, Raylan and Sarah stood in front of a large screen, reading reports. Worlds had pulled back. Armies had been silenced, and all they did was speak. Raylan smiled slightly. Do you think they understand us now? Sarah answered without turning. No. And they never will, Raylan asked. Then what happens next? Sarah paused, then said something very simple. Nothing, as long as they stay quiet. The screen behind them showed Earth, blue, cloudy, peaceful, a world full of survivors, builders, children, not gods, not monsters, just humans. And the final words of the story burned onto the stars, written in every language across the galaxy. We did not come to rule. We came to remind you what fear really feels like.